My name is Alicia Bennett, and at 38, I've built a life I'm proud of, running a small organic produce store in Des Moines, Iowa. But to my family, I'm just the spinster sister who doesn't get it. The pale blue envelope on my counter felt like a punch to the gut, its silver script screaming my brother's smugness. Join us to celebrate our little miracle, it read, because family is everything, something some of us choose to ignore. I tossed it down, my fingers trembling. That's my brother, always ready to jab at my empty life. He's got no clue I've been the one keeping his world from collapsing. And yet, here's another invite to his perfect little baby shower, where I'll sit through more lectures about how I've failed as a woman. If it were you, how would you react to a heartless brother like this? Comment below and let us know. The afternoon sun was dipping low when I pushed open the door to the cozy book cafe across from my store in Des Moines. My best friend was already there, perched on a stool by the counter, flipping through a worn paperback. Her coworker, a guy who'd been helping out at my shop lately, was wiping down tables nearby. I slid into the seat across from her, my shoulders heavy. I can't stop thinking about that invite, I said, my voice low. She put the book down, her eyes narrowing. Your brother's got a gift for making you feel small. What's the deal with him? I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. It's not just him, it's Mom, too. They act like I'm wasting my life because I didn't pop out a kid or snag a husband. My friend snorted, tossing her hair back. They're living in the Stone Age. You run a business, Alicia. You're not exactly sitting around. I gave a bitter laugh, my fingers tracing the edge of the table. Try telling them that. For 3 years, I've been bailing my brother out, and he doesn't even know it. Her eyebrows shot up. Wait, what? Bailing him out? How? I glanced around the cafe, making sure no one was listening. The guy from my shop was out of earshot, stacking chairs. I lowered my voice. Anyway, 3 years ago, my brother was drowning in debt. His house was about to be foreclosed. I found out through a friend who works at his bank. He never asked for help. Too proud, I guess. So I started transferring money to cover his mortgage anonymously. Thousands of dollars every month, straight from my savings. Her jaw dropped, the book forgotten in her lap. Alicia, that's insane. You've been paying his bills, and he has no clue. I nodded, my chest tightening. I didn't want him to lose everything. He's got a wife, a kid on the way. But instead of gratitude, I get called a spinster who doesn't know what family means. The guy from my shop walked over, catching the tail end of my words. Your brother sounds like a piece of work, he said, setting a coffee mug in front of me. Why keep it a secret? Tell him and shut him up. I shook my head, stirring the coffee absently. It's not that simple. If I tell him, he'll twist it, make it about his pride, and Mom will just say I'm showing off. My friend leaned in, her voice sharp. Alicia, you're letting them walk all over you. You've been their safety net, and they treat you like dirt. I opened my mouth to argue, but my phone buzzed on the table, the screen lighting up with Mom's name. I groaned, showing it to them. Here we go. I hit the speaker button, holding the phone between us. Alicia, honey, Mom's voice chirped, all fake warmth. I was just telling your brother's wife how excited we are about the baby shower. It's going to be perfect. You're still coming, right? I clenched my fists under the table. Yeah, Mom. I said I'd be there. She didn't miss a beat. Good, good. You know your brother's doing so well. He's got a family, a real purpose. I just wish you'd think about settling down, Alicia. You're not getting any younger. My friend rolled her eyes, mouthing something I couldn't catch. I forced a tight smile, even though Mom couldn't see it. I'm fine, Mom. Really. She sighed, long and dramatic. I just want you to be happy like your brother. He's giving me a grandchild, Alicia. That's what family is about. I bit my lip, the words stinging more than I'd admit. I've got to go, Mom. I hung up before she could say more, my hands shaking. My friend reached across the table, squeezing my arm. She's unbelievable. They both are. The guy from my shop leaned against the counter, his arms crossed. You've been carrying them, Alicia, and they don't even see it. I stared at the coffee, the steam curling up like my anger. I've spent years keeping his life together. Thousands of dollars gone just so he could play the perfect son, and Mom eats it up. My friend's eyes glinted with something fierce. You need to stop hiding it. Let them know what you've done. Let them choke on it. I looked at her, then at the guy, their words sinking in. The idea of exposing the truth was terrifying, but it was starting to feel right. "Maybe you're on to something," I said, my voice steadier. "Maybe it's time they faced what I've been carrying." My friend grinned, raising her coffee mug like a toast. "That's the spirit. Hit them where it hurts." The guy nodded, his expression serious. "You've got the receipts, Alicia. Use them." I took a deep breath, the weight in my chest shifting. Not gone, but different. For the first time, I wasn't just angry. I was ready to do something about it. The next evening, I pulled up to Mom's house in a quiet Des Moines neighborhood, the familiar porch light casting a warm glow that felt anything but welcoming. I adjusted my sweater, took a deep breath, and stepped inside, the smell of her signature pot roast hitting me as I crossed the threshold. My brother was already there, sprawled on the couch, his wife perched beside him, her hand resting on her pregnant belly. Mom bustled out of the kitchen, her apron dusted with flour, beaming at them like they were royalty. "Alicia, you made it," she exclaimed, but her eyes flicked over my outfit with a familiar frown. "You could have dressed up a little, dear." I forced a smile, sliding into a chair at the dining table. "Good to see you too, Mom." My brother glanced up from his phone, his smirk sharp enough to cut. "Nice of you to show up, Alicia. Thought you'd be too busy with your what?" "Kale empire." His wife nudged him, but her smile was thin, more polite than genuine. I gripped my fork, the metal cool against my palm, and ignored the jab. "Just keeping the lights on," I said, keeping my voice even. Mom set a steaming dish of roast on the table, her chatter filling the air. "Your brother and his wife have been so busy planning the nursery. It's going to be perfect for the baby." She reached over, squeezing his arm. "I'm so proud of you, too." Her gaze slid to me, softening, but not in a good way. "Alicia, don't you ever think about settling down? You're 38. Time's ticking." I stiffened in my chair, my appetite fading. "I'm happy with my life, Mom. My store is doing great," she sighed, shaking her head like I'd missed the point. "A store is not family, Alicia. You'd understand if you had someone special." My brother leaned back, his grin widening. "Yeah, Alicia. Maybe if you didn't spend all your time selling carrots, you'd have a life like ours. You know, one that actually matters." His words landed like a slap, and I felt my face heat up. His wife looked down at her plate, her fork pausing mid-bite. I opened my mouth to fire back, but the doorbell rang, cutting through the tension. Mom jumped up, wiping her hands on her apron. "That must be your brother's friend from the bank. She's joining us tonight." A woman stepped in, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor, a bottle of wine in hand. She flashed a bright smile, shaking hands with Mom before turning to my brother. "Good to see you," she said, her voice warm but professional. She nodded at me, her eyes lingering a moment. "You must be Alicia. I've heard a lot about you." I managed a tight nod, unsure why her look made me uneasy. We settled around the table, the clink of glasses and small talk masking the undercurrent of tension. As Mom served the roast, my brother launched into a story about his latest project at work, his voice loud and self-assured. "We're killing it," he bragged, cutting into his meat. "Closed a big deal last week. Things are looking up." His friend from the bank nodded, sipping her wine. "Speaking of that," she said casually, "I noticed a big deposit in your account recently. Must have been a nice bonus." My heart stopped, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth. My brother frowned, confused. "What deposit? I didn't get any bonus." His friend blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, I just assumed. It was a pretty large sum. Came through a few months ago." I felt every eye at the table shift, the air growing thick. My brother's frown deepened, and he set his knife down. "What are you talking about? I'd know if I got money like that." His friend hesitated, glancing at me for a split second before looking away. "Maybe I got it wrong," she said quickly. But the damage was done. My pulse raced, my mind spinning. She knew something, maybe not everything, but enough to make me nervous. I'd been so careful, routing the money through anonymous transfers to save his house. Had she traced it back to me? Mom broke the silence, her voice overly cheerful. "Well, let's not get sidetracked. Alicia, have you thought about what I said?" "About finding someone," I swallowed hard, pushing my plate away. "Mom, I'm not here to talk about my love life." My brother snorted, leaning forward. "What love life? You're married to your shop, Alicia. No wonder you're always so uptight. His wife shot him a look, but he ignored it, his smirk back in full force. Maybe if you had a kid on the way, you'd get why we're so excited about the shower. I clenched my jaw, my nails digging into my palms. Not everyone's life revolves around kids, I said, my voice sharper than I intended. Mom gasped, like I'd insulted her personally. Alicia, that's not fair. Your brother's building a family. It's what people do. I stared at her, the words I wanted to say burning in my throat. I'd been keeping his family afloat, and he was mocking me for it, but I couldn't say it. Not yet. Not here. The bank friend's comment still hung in the air, a ticking bomb I wasn't ready to detonate. The rest of the dinner passed in a blur of forced smiles and half-hearted small talk. My brother kept up his jabs, each one cutting deeper, while Mom piled on with her not-so-subtle hints about my wasted life. His friend stayed quiet, her earlier slip seeming to weigh on her. As I pushed back my chair to leave, Mom grabbed my hand. Think about what I said, Alicia. You deserve to be happy. I pulled away, my voice cold. I am happy, Mom. You just don't see it. My brother laughed, a low, mocking sound. Sure, Alicia, keep telling yourself that. I stepped out into the cool night air, my heart pounding, the bank friend's words echoing in my head. She'd seen something, and I couldn't shake the feeling that my secret was slipping out of my control. The next morning, I was back at the shop, arranging crates of fresh apples, when my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I opened it, my heart pounding. Alicia, it's your brother's friend from the bank. We need to talk. Can you meet me at the shop? I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting. She knew something, and I wasn't sure how much. I texted back, telling her to come by in an hour, then called my best friend. Get over here, I said, my voice tight. Something's up with my brother's bank friend. She promised to grab the guy who helps at the shop and be there soon. I paced behind the counter, my thoughts racing. Had she figured out I was the one sending the money? If she told my brother before I was ready, my whole plan, whatever it was, would fall apart. An hour later, the bell above the shop door jingled, and my brother's friend walked in, her face serious. She wore a crisp blazer, her hair pulled back, looking every bit the banker. Alicia, she said, her voice low. I didn't mean to stir things up at dinner, but I saw the transfers to your brother's account. They're from you, aren't they? I froze, my hands pausing on a crate. What makes you think that? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. She stepped closer, her eyes steady. I've been at the bank long enough to recognize patterns. Anonymous transfers every month covering his mortgage. They trace back to an account tied to this shop. I leaned forward, my voice barely a whisper. You can't tell him. Not yet. She raised an eyebrow, her expression unreadable. I won't. But you need to decide what you're doing, Alicia. He's walking around acting like he's got it all together while you're carrying his weight. Her words hit hard, echoing what my friends had said yesterday. I nodded, my jaw tight. I'm working on it. She hesitated, then added, Whatever you do, make it count. He doesn't deserve to keep you in the shadows. She left without another word, the bell jingling behind her. Minutes later, my best friend burst through the door, the guy from the shop trailing behind her. What's going on? She demanded, tossing her bag on a chair. I motioned them to the back room, away from customers. My brother's friend knows, I said, shutting the door. She figured out I've been paying his mortgage. My friend's eyes widened, and she let out a low whistle. That's a bombshell. What's your move? The guy crossed his arms, leaning against a shelf. You've got to tell him, Alicia. At the baby shower. Hit him where it hurts. I paced the small room, my shoes scuffing the floor. I've been thinking about that. If I just tell him, he'll spin it, make me the bad guy. I need something bigger. My friend grinned, her eyes glinting. Like what? A PowerPoint of every dollar you've spent on him? I stopped, her words sparking an idea. That's not a bad idea. A presentation. Show everyone at the baby shower exactly what I've done. The guy nodded, his face serious. You've got the evidence, right? Bank statements, transfer records. I pulled a folder from my desk, stuffed with 3 years of receipts. Every transfer, every payment, I kept it all. My friend flipped through the pages, her jaw dropping. Alicia, this is thousands. You've been bleeding yourself dry for him. I shrugged, the weight of it settling in my chest. I thought I was helping family, but they don't see me as family. Just the spinster who doesn't get it. The guy shook his head, his voice firm. Then show them. Make it impossible for them to ignore. We huddled around my laptop, sketching out the plan. My friend took charge, her fingers flying over the keys. We'll make a slideshow. Start with a photo of their house, then flash the numbers, dates, amounts, the whole deal. I nodded, adding, make it simple, but brutal. I want every guest to see what I've done. The guy suggested a timeline, laying out each payment like a story, and with a screenshot of the last transfer. He said, let it sink in that you saved their home. As we worked, my phone buzzed again. This time, a voicemail from Mom. I played it on speaker, her voice filling the room. Alicia, I hope you're bringing something nice to the shower. Your brother's wife works so hard on it. Don't let her down. I rolled my eyes, deleting the message. My friend snorted. She's got no idea what's coming. I felt a surge of resolve, my hands steady for the first time all day. They've pushed me too far. This isn't just about the money, it's about making them see me. We spent the next hour refining the slideshow, choosing fonts that were clear and sharp, nothing flashy. My friend added a final slide, just one line. 3 years, thousands of dollars from Alicia. That'll hit them like a truck, she said, grinning. The guy tested the file on a USB drive, making sure it would run on any projector. You're sure about this? He asked, his tone careful. I met his eyes, my voice unwavering. I've never been more sure. They've mocked me long enough. By the time we finished, the shop was quiet, the morning rush long gone. I looked at the USB drive in my hand, the weight of it heavier than it should be. My friend squeezed my shoulder. You're doing the right thing, Alicia. They need to know. 2 days later, I walked into the baby shower at a sleek Des Moines restaurant, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket. The room was decked out in pastel balloons and banners, the air buzzing with chatter and laughter. My brother and his wife stood at the center, basking in the glow of their guests' adoration. Mom hovered nearby, her smile wide as she handed out slices of cake. I scanned the crowd, spotting my brother's friend from the bank near the bar, her expression unreadable. My best friend and the guy from my shop were already there, stationed near the projector we'd tested that morning. I gave them a subtle nod, my hands shaking as I clutched the USB. His wife took the microphone, her voice bright. Thank you all for coming to celebrate our little miracle. The crowd clapped, and my brother draped an arm around her, grinning like he owned the world. Mom caught my eye, mouth thing. Behave, as if I were a child about to throw a tantrum. I ignored her, my focus on the projector screen behind them. My best friend leaned over, whispering, You ready? I nodded, my throat tight. Let's do this. As the applause died down, I stepped forward, my voice steady despite the nerves clawing at my chest. I have something to share, I said, loud enough to draw every eye. My brother raised an eyebrow, his smirk familiar. What, Alicia? A speech about kale? A few guests chuckled, but I didn't flinch. I walked to the projector, plugged in the USB, and hit play. The room went silent as the first slide appeared, a photo of my brother's house, pristine and paid for. This is my brother's home, I said, my voice carrying. 3 years ago, it was about to be foreclosed. Whispers rippled through the crowd. My brother's grin faltered, his eyes narrowing. His wife glanced at him, confused. The next slide showed a bank statement, my shop's account number redacted, but the transfer's clear. Thousands of dollars month after month to his mortgage. I paid it, I said, my gaze locked on him. Every cent for 3 years, while you called me a heartless spinster who doesn't know what family means. The room erupted in gasps, guests turning to each other, their murmurs growing louder. My brother's face turned ashen, his mouth opening, but no words coming out. Mom dropped her plate, the cake hitting the floor with a soft thud. Alicia, what is this? She stammered, her voice shaking. I clicked to the next slide, a timeline of payments, each date and amount stark against the screen. This is what I've been doing, I said, saving your golden boy's life while he mocked mine. His wife stepped back, her hand on her belly, her eyes wide with shock. You did this? She asked, her voice barely audible. I nodded, my chest tight but my resolve firm. I didn't want you to lose everything, but I'm done hiding it. My brother finally found his voice, his face red. This is a lie. I didn't ask for your money. I clicked to the final slide, a screenshot of the last transfer dated a month ago. You didn't ask, I said, but you took it, and you never even thanked me. The crowd was in chaos now, some guests whispering furiously, others staring at my brother like he'd grown horns. His friend from the bank stood frozen, her wine glass trembling in her hand. An older woman, my aunt's sister, pulled out her phone, her fingers moving fast. I caught her eye, and she gave me a small, approving nod. I turned back to my brother, stepping closer, my voice low but cutting. You called me heartless. You said I don't get family, but I've been holding yours together for years, and all I got was your smug insults. He stumbled back, his hands raised like he could push the truth away. Alicia, you're making this up to ruin me, he shouted, but the guests weren't buying it. A woman near the front shook her head, muttering, That's low. Another guest, a guy I recognized from their neighborhood, crossed his arms, glaring at my brother. Mom grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. Alicia, stop this. You're embarrassing us. I pulled free, my eyes never leaving my brother. No, Mom. He embarrassed himself. Every time he called me a failure, he was living off my money. His wife's face crumpled, tears welling up. Why didn't you tell me? She asked him, her voice breaking. He turned to her, his hands shaking. I didn't know, I swear. But the doubt in her eyes was clear, and the crowd's murmurs grew louder, a wave of judgment crashing over him. I stood tall, the weight of years lifting off my shoulders. You don't get to play the victim, I said to him. You don't get to call me names while I save your life, not anymore. A slow clap started from the back, my best friend, her grin fierce. The guy from my shop joined in, then a few guests, their applause sharp and pointed. My brother's face burned, his eyes darting around for an escape. Mom was crying now, her hands covering her face. Alicia, how could you? She whispered. I looked at her, my voice steady. How could I? How could you let him treat me like I'm nothing? The room felt electric, every guest hanging on my words. My aunt was still recording, her phone aimed at us, capturing every second. I stepped back, the slideshow looping behind me, each slide a nail in my brother's facade. I'd spent years in the shadows, swallowing their insults, but now they saw me, really saw me. My brother's friend from the bank approached, her voice low. You did the right thing, she whispered. I nodded, my heart still racing, but lighter. The truth was out, and there was no going back. Right after, I stepped outside the restaurant, the cool Des Moines air hitting my face as the noise of the baby shower faded behind me. Inside, the room was still buzzing, the slideshow looping on the screen, each slide a reminder of the truth I'd laid bare. My brother's voice broke through the murmurs, loud and desperate. This isn't what it looks like, he shouted, pushing through the crowd toward me. I turned, my arms crossed, ready for whatever he'd throw next. He stopped a few feet away, his face flushed, his tie loose. Alicia, you can't just humiliate me like this, he said, his voice cracking. I didn't know it was you. Why didn't you tell me? His wife appeared behind him, her eyes red, but her expression hard. You should have known, she said, her voice low and sharp. Someone was saving us, and you never even questioned it. The guests nearby fell silent, their eyes darting between us. A woman I recognized from Mom's church group shook her head, her lips tight. My brother's friend from the bank lingered by the door, watching but saying nothing. I stepped forward, my voice cold. You didn't need to know because you were too busy calling me a failure, a spinster. You think that's family? He flinched, his hands balling into fists. I was joking, Alicia. You're blowing this out of proportion. But the crowd wasn't on his side. A man from their neighborhood muttered, Doesn't sound like a joke to me. Another guest, an older woman with a pearl necklace, turned away, whispering to her friend. My brother's wife took another step back, her hand on her belly, her face a mix of betrayal and shame. Mom pushed through, her eyes wild. Alicia, you've gone too far. This was supposed to be a happy day. I met her gaze, unflinching. Happy for who, Mom? For him? While you both treat me like I'm less than nothing. She opened her mouth, but no words came. My aunt, still holding her phone, stepped closer, her face grim. I recorded it all, she said, her voice steady. The slideshow, your speech, everything. People need to see this. I froze, the weight of her words sinking in. She was already tapping her screen, uploading the video to her social media, where her thousands of followers would see it. My brother's eyes widened. "You can't do that," he snapped, lunging toward her. My aunt didn't budge, her phone still in hand. "It's already done," she said, her tone final. "You don't get to hide from this." The guests were pulling out their phones now, some recording, others scrolling, the video already spreading. My brother's wife turned to him, her voice shaking. "You let me think we were fine on our own. You let me brag about our life, and it was all her." She gestured at me, tears spilling over. He reached for her, but she pulled away, shaking her head. "Don't," she said, and walked toward the back of the restaurant, leaving him stranded. The crowd's whispers grew louder, a wave of judgment crashing over my brother. A couple near the bar slipped out, their heads low, as if they couldn't stand to be near him. My best friend appeared at my side, her grin fierce. "They're eating him alive," she whispered. The guy from my shop nodded, his arms crossed. "He deserves it." I looked back at my brother, his shoulders slumped, his face a mix of anger and defeat. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. I turned to Mom, who was clutching her purse like a lifeline. "I'm done," I said, my voice steady. "I've spent years keeping his life together, and all I got was your disappointment. No more." Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't argue. "Alicia, please," she whispered, but I shook my head. "I'm not your backup plan anymore. You chose him over me every time. That ends now." I turned to my brother, who was still trying to salvage his dignity. "And you," I said, my words sharp. "I'm done carrying you. Don't call me. Don't come to my shop. We're finished." He stared at me, his mouth working, but no sound coming out. The guests were openly staring now, their phones lighting up with notifications as my aunt's video spread. My brother's friend from the bank approached, her expression soft but firm. "You did what you had to," she said to me. "He needed to face it." I nodded, grateful but exhausted. The weight of years, thousands of dollars, countless sleepless nights was finally off my shoulders, but it left me raw. My aunt tucked her phone away, her eyes bright with something like pride. "This is going viral," she said, her voice low. "By tomorrow, everyone in Des Moines will know what you did for him." I swallowed hard, the reality of it hitting me. The video wasn't just about him, it was about me, my sacrifice, my truth. Part of me wanted to stop it, to keep my life private, but another part knew it was too late. The truth was out, and it was reshaping everything. As I walked toward the parking lot, my best friend and the guy from my shop flanked me, their presence steadying. "You okay?" my friend asked, her voice gentle. I nodded, though my chest felt tight. "I will be," I said. The restaurant doors swung shut behind us, muffling the chaos inside. My phone buzzed, notifications from my aunt's post already racking up views. Comments were pouring in, some calling my brother out, others praising me. I silenced the phone, not ready to face the fallout yet. My brother's wife appeared at the edge of the lot, her face pale. She didn't approach, just stood there watching me. I held her gaze for a moment, then turned away. She'd figure out her next move, but it wasn't my job to fix their mess anymore. The air felt lighter, the weight of their expectations gone. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. The next day I was back at my shop, feeling lighter. The familiar scent of fresh produce and the hum of customers browsing grounded me, a stark contrast to the chaos of yesterday's baby shower. My phone buzzed relentlessly, notifications from my aunt's viral video, texts from people I hadn't heard from in years, and a missed call from my brother's wife. I set the phone down, my resolve firm. I wasn't ready to hear her out. Not after everything. The world knew the truth now, and I needed space to figure out what came next. My best friend walked in, her usual energy softened by concern. "You holding up okay?" she asked, leaning against the counter. I nodded, rearranging a stack of apples. "Better than I expected," I said, my voice quieter than usual. "It's like I can finally breathe." She smiled, nudging my shoulder. "You stood up for yourself. That's huge." The guy who helps at the shop appeared from the back, carrying a crate of tomatoes. "You're kind of a legend now," he said, grinning. "My buddy saw the video online, said you're a hero." I rolled my eyes, but a small smile tugged at my lips. "I'm no hero. I just got tired of being invisible. My friend leaned closer, her voice low. You're not invisible anymore. The whole town's talking about it. She wasn't wrong. My phone kept buzzing with messages, some supportive, others nosy. I ignored them all, focusing on the rhythm of the shop. This place, my place, had been my anchor through years of family drama. It felt like home, more than Mom's house ever did. Later that afternoon, I was restocking shelves when my phone lit up with another call from my brother's wife. I stared at her name on the screen, my thumb hovering over the decline button. After a moment, I answered, my voice flat. What do you want? Her voice was heavy with regret, almost a whisper. Alicia, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. None of us did. I stayed silent, letting her words hang. She continued, stumbling over her thoughts. I feel awful. You didn't deserve any of this. Can we talk, please? I leaned against the counter, my chest tight. Part of me wanted to believe her, to bridge the gap, but the hurt ran too deep. I appreciate that, I said finally, but I'm not ready. I don't know if I'll ever be. There was a long pause, her breathing shaky on the other end. I understand, she said softly. I hope someday you'll give me a chance. I ended the call without another word, my heart heavy but certain. Some doors needed to stay closed, at least for now. That evening, my friend and the guy from the shop came over to my place. We sat on my porch, the Iowa sunset painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. My friend sipped her iced tea, her feet propped up on a chair. So what's the plan now? She asked. I shrugged, cradling a mug of coffee. Keep running the shop. Maybe take a vacation. I've never been to Colorado. The guy chuckled, tossing a bottle cap into the air. You should. You've earned it. I smiled faintly, the idea of a fresh start settling in. As the weeks passed, the buzz around the video began to fade, but its impact lingered. My aunt texted me updates. Local blogs had picked up the story, some calling me a quiet hero, others tearing into my brother. I didn't read most of it. The attention felt strange, like wearing someone else's clothes. My friend kept me grounded, dragging me to trivia nights at the local bar, while the guy from the shop started bringing me coffee every morning. A quiet gesture that meant more than he knew. They were my family now, not by blood, but by choice. And that felt stronger than anything I'd lost. Looking back, I realized something simple but sharp. Family isn't just about blood. It's about respect. My brother and Mom never saw me for who I was, only for who they wanted me to be. Their words, their dismissal, it all piled up until I couldn't carry it anymore. When I finally stood up, I didn't just break their illusions. I broke free. It cost me my family, but it gave me something better, myself. The lesson wasn't easy, but it was clear. Respect holds a family together, and without it, the cracks will show. Insults, even the small ones, build up, and one day they can tear everything apart. I looked out at the sunset, ready for what's next.